Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to teach you how to create better goals. Goal setting is a powerful tool. It's going to help you become better professionally. It's going to help you in your personal life. Basically, it's just going to help you bring your dreams to life, okay? If you want to accomplish things in this life, if you want to get those big goals, big dreams, then you have to plan for it. You have to get crystal clear on what you want and how you're going to get there. So that's what we're going to work on today, okay? We're going to start out with a general format that you can follow so that you can be nice and organized. We're going to go over that. We're going to start with key aspects of your goal. Number one. Basically, you want to get down to the nitty-gritty of your goal. You want to ask who is going to be involved, to what extent, how will or what actions will be taken, what order, what obstacles can arise, how will I complete these actions, step by step, with what resources, with what tools, with what skills, costs, when, what kind of deadline do I have, what time frame, are there going to be regular intervals where I kind of check on my progress. These are just like a couple of things you can ask yourself, but basically you just want to put down every single thing, every piece of information, every aspect that you can possibly think of. Ask yourself as many questions as you can. Get very, very specific and make sure you write it down. The more specific you are, the more you do, the better you're going to be. This whole process is going to be so much easier if you are detailed and specific, okay? That is where a lot of people miss out. That is where people skip this step because they're too lazy and they don't want to do the work. But guess what? If you want big things in this world, you have to do some work. You got to put in the proper time for it, okay? You ain't just gonna get stuff. It's not just gonna be thrown in your lap. You gotta do it, all right? The second aspect is brainstorming. Another thing that people skip all the time. Now, the idea behind this is that it's unrestrained thinking. A lot of times, we do want to organize things. We want it to be in a specific format, but sometimes that can limit our brain. That can limit our ideas. So you want to be able to, have no restrictions when you're just writing out anything you can think of about your goal. I don't care what it is. Nothing is unimportant. Nothing is stupid. Write down every single thing that you can think of. So now you have all this information from the key aspects that you have already written down for your goal. Then you're brainstorming, so all this information is floating around in there, and now you're able to kind of give your own spin. Write down what you're thinking, what you're feeling, what direction you're headed in with this goal, okay? Number 3 is to identify your objectives. Now, when you think of objectives, you can think tasks, it's very similar. But you want to figure out exactly what tasks you're going to need to complete in order to get this goal. What specific things do you need to do, okay? And after you do that, you're going to want to prioritize what things are most important, what needs done first. So if you have a hard time with this, like I do, I have an exercise for you. Basically, you're going to take some note cards that you can get at the dollar store for super cheap, or you can cut a piece of paper up into a couple rectangles. You're going to write down each objective or task on a note card, and then when you have them all out in front of you, all finished up, you can kind of organize them into, which one needs to be done first, and just do it kind of all the way down the line. It's a much better for me. I just like it to be right in front of me. It helps me, and hopefully it might help somebody else. But you have to prioritize these objectives in order to figure out where you need to start, okay? That way you can actually get started. Now, all of this here is just showing you that it's organized. It is getting every thought and aspect down on paper. Each of these steps is doing that, okay? The next one is to set milestones or incentive. Now, motivation is huge when it comes to goal setting, because if you lose motivation, then you are going to probably quit. You're probably not going to achieve your goal, okay? When you're doing your key aspects of this goal, I want you to also write down your motivation, why you're doing this goal, what you're going to gain from this goal. Why is it important to you? Add that in your key aspects, because the motivation behind it is going to be your major drive throughout this goal, especially if it's a long-term goal that has a lot of different, things going on, steps, layers, whatnot. You got to keep the motivation. So, every so often throughout the time frame in your goal, you want to stop and recognize the progress you've made. Recognize what you've done. Give yourself some motivation, for completing this. All the points of completion for major objectives, okay? So once you accomplish a big piece of your goal, you're going to want to recognize yourself, celebrate, give yourself a reward, something like that. You want to recognize that. It's so huge, any accomplishment that you make, okay? And you should treat it that way. The next is to identify and collect your resources. So now that you have a good idea of what your goal is, all the components of it, you've figured out what steps you got to take, you now need to get all the resources that you're going to need. So that can be information, skills, tools, resources, people, money, all kinds of things. Now, you want to identify at least the bare minimum of what you need for this task, but you could say it's supplies or something. You might want to get a little bit extra, because that way, just in case there are any errors or, you miscalculated or something, you can have that there. So just know what the bare minimum is, but try to get a little more if possible when it comes to any resource, really, okay? The next one, number 6, is to create a schedule or a timeline. Basically, this is one of the most important parts, because you've got to know in what order you're doing things. Now, you can also use that exercise with the note cards for this. So you can kind of put all aspects of your goals on these note cards and then put them in the order that they need to be, the timeline. What you're doing first, second, third, blah, blah, blah. The order sometimes is very important. So if it is, make sure you got a timeline. You also want to make sure you have a clear deadline. Sometimes there's no clear deadline, and that's okay. But if you can, if possible, have a deadline, an end date, because you want to put a little bit of fire under your butt for doing this goal. You don't want to just be, going through, you want to get through it. So give yourself a deadline. Sometimes the universe gives you the deadline, so you don't got to worry about it. But if not, try to do it yourself, okay? The last step is to have a contingency plan. You want to know that you have a plan if everything doesn't go according to your plan. You want to have backups in place. You want to have secondary plans. You want to have solutions to problems if they arise. So make sure you have a contingency plan. I also wanted to just add one more thing in there. If you do have a problem, if a problem arises, you want to follow this simple format. First, define the problem. And again, get very specific, okay? What's the cause of the problem? What harm is it causing my goal? Just get very specific in what the problem is. The next one is brainstorm all the options. Make sure you try to come up with multiple solutions to this problem. That way you'll have them available for later if you need them. The next, number 3, is to choose one of the strategies, and number 4 is to implement that strategy. So basically you just want to, figure out which one works for you and do it. And if that doesn't work, if you need to come back to the drawing board, you have a couple more strategies that you can try. See, you have a backup. This is also going to eliminate a lot of stress. I know it seems like a lot of work, this goal setting process, but the benefits of just the stress, not, it just alone is just crazy. When you don't know what you're doing, when you're, confused and overwhelmed, you tend to get stressed. And then the more stressed you are, the less likely you are to achieve these goals. So make sure that you at least try out this process with one goal, okay? I promise you, if you do this, you put in the work for that goal, you're going to, start to achieve much more in this life, okay? That is pretty much most of what I have. I hope you guys got something out of it. There's going to be a lot more goal-related videos and just personal development, health, fitness, all things wellness. That is my business, and I'm going to bring you valuable information. I'm going to continue to bring you valuable information. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe to my channel. That way you don't miss out on anything. Check out my page over on Facebook, Love Fit Life. And I will see you guys on the next video. Thank you so much for watching. See ya.